Hi there and welcome to the screencast. I'm sorry my earlier version had some technical problems with the audio. I think I fixed it, so here we go. Okay, so what do these symbols mean in C sharp? The first one is a single line comment, the second one or, the third one and then the exclamation point means not. And then the percent symbol, of course, means modulus division. And the plus sign means either add numeric values or join strings together. So what is 78 mod 7? Well, modulus division, you do division, and then instead of the answer being the quotient, it's the remainder. So 78 divided by 7, if you do 78 divided by 7, let's see, we get 11 with a remainder of 1. So that means the answer is 1. Okay, so what do those statements do? The first one adds 2 to x's value and then makes that x's new value. So it's really the equivalent of writing x equals x plus 2. So if x was 5 before that statement executed, it would be 7 after the statement executed. This is the same thing as y equals y minus 3. The z1 means z equals z divide by 3. And then y plus equals 8 would be y equals y plus 8. So since these are really equivalent statements, the ones in the top row are shorter, so that's a shorter way of expressing the same thing, which is why programmers like them. Okay, so the basic data types you need to know are bool data type, which is true, false. In Java, it's boolean, not bool. In C sharp, it's bool. Then int are integers between negative 2 billion something and positive 2 billion something. Then doubles are decimal values between 1 to the negative 308th power and I think 1 to, well, actually negative 1 to the 3/800th power up to positive 1 to the 308th power. And then lastly, strings. String begins with a lowercase letter in C sharp. In Java, it's a capital letter. They mean the same thing. A set of characters enclosed in quotation marks. Okay, so to declare a variable, first of all, you have to declare variables before you use them. And when you declare them, you specify their data type and you give them a name. So this is int x, creates a variable named x that's of type int. X equals 5 is an assignment statement that assigns 5 to the variable x. So with assignment statements, you always take the value on the right and assign it to the variable on the left. And then this statement right here both declares and initializes a variable in a single statement. So it makes a variable named x and gives it its first value 5, which is what initialized means. Okay, so let's look at an if, else if statement, the syntax of it. So we have if some condition, a block of code, else if another condition, some block of code, else another block of code. So basically when this is getting executed, each of the conditions are evaluated one at a time in the order that they're encountered. And as soon as one is found that is true, then the line of code that's in, or lines of code in the block that follows it will be executed. And then it doesn't matter what comes after it, nothing else is even looked at. So it's pretty much it's looking for the first answer that is correct. As soon as that answer is found, execution of the if statement ends and the program continues elsewhere. So if you have an else statement, that means that if none of the original ones are true, then it will execute what's in the block that comes after else. So it's like the default if all else fails, although else statements are optional. All right, so how about a for loop. A simple for loop looks like this. It has a couple of things. It has, that's how you set it up. And inside the parentheses here, you're going to declare a counter variable and give it its first value. That occurs before the first semicolon. Then in between the two semicolons, you'll have the condition that specifies when the loop should stop. So as long as this condition is true, the loop will continue to iterate. And then the final thing that comes after the second semicolon is how much the counter variable is going to increase or decrease by each time the loop executes. So this loop right here is going to go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then when it goes back and increases to 10, this is no longer going to be true, and then the loop will end. So that's a basic for loop. A while loop, on the other hand, is a more general kind of loop. And basically, you have while, so any condition that can be evaluated to be true or false, do this. Okay, so the way it works is the beginning of the while loop is hit. This condition is evaluated. If it's true, then whatever is in here gets executed. If it's false, the loop is over and the program continues underneath the loop. So you need to be careful that with a while loop, that if the condition is true initially, then somewhere in the body of the loop, the condition, something will change so that when it goes back to check the condition again for the next iteration, eventually you'll come to a condition that's false, because otherwise you have an infinite loop. Okay, so pretty much the rules of indentation are anytime you have an opening curly brace, you go in. When you're ready to close that block of code, you go out by 1. And note that going from one line to the next, you'll never go in or out more than one level of indentation. You'll never go 2 at a time. Okay, so what will be assigned to the following after this code has executed? Okay, so we have string tomorrow, and I'm just going to write it out a little bit larger so that we can number the characters with their position number. Okay, so starting with position 0. So this, let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, one too many. I didn't think that looked quite right. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Okay, so x.substring 3, comma, x.length divided by 2 plus 1. Okay, so first of all, this number or expression means the first character in the string you want to include in your substring. So in this case, it would be 3. It would be O, because O is in the 3 position. So I know my substrings are going to begin with O. Then I need to figure out what this is, because that's going to tell me the position of the first character I want to exclude from my substring. So x.length divided by 2. Well, my string has 8 characters, so its length is 8. If you divide that by 2, you get 4, and then if you add 1, you get 5. So really what this is saying is substring 3, comma 5. Well, that means take 3 and 4, but not 5. So that would mean OR is assigned to str. Okay, and then this one, you're asked to trace the values of variables through a for loop. So the best thing to do when you're given a problem like this is to draw a little table and label your variables. or add your variables, and then just go line by line. So initially x is 7, y is 5, and this for loop is going to go 5 times when I is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first time through, I is 0. So it says x plus equals 2, y plus equals x. So add 2 to x, and then you add x to y, and get 14. Then you move on, and I becomes 1. Okay, add 2 to x, then you add x, increase y by x, so you get 25. Then you move on, I is 2. Increase x by 2, and then increase y by whatever x is. So I'm going to get 38. Okay, now I go to 3, and I'm going to go up to 15 and 53. And then I go to 4, and then I'm going to add 2 and get 17. And then I'm going to add 17 to y and get 70. So that means x will be assigned 70 and y will be, x will be assigned 17 and y will be assigned 70 after the code is done executing. Okay, then what will be assigned to sum after the code has executed for this one? Okay, so I have, let's see, I have 4 variables, sum, x, y, and z. And there really isn't any loop involved, so I'm not going to trace the values of the variables in a table. You really want to do that mostly when you have a loop. Okay, so I'm going to write in true or false right over the variable based on what value it's assigned. So I'm going to have, let's see, I'm going to have x is true, y is false, and then z is true. Okay, so the order that I want to evaluate when I'm talking about logical operators, it's basically exclamation points for not, then parentheses, then and then or. And then I'm going to use the rules of and or logic to evaluate, basically condense the expressions into a single expression that's either true or false. So I'm going to look at not z. Well, z is true, so not z would be false. Okay, now I'm going to look at the parentheses, x and y. You have one true, one false. True and false for and gives you false. All right, and now I have false or false. That's false. So I really have if false, sum minus equals 3. Well, the only way sum minus equals 3 will execute is if the condition is true. It's not, it's false. So that means sum just stays the way it is. Nothing happens. Okay, so I also have 2 coding bat problems, simple coding bat problems. And the first one says return the largest of 3 int values. Unless 2 are equal to, are the same, then return the int value different than the other 2. Okay, so I'm gonna, let's see, usually you want to handle the special case first. So I'm going to check to see if any of the 2 are equal to each other and the third one is different. So I'm going to do it like this. Well, there's 3 scenario ways that could happen. A and B being equal, C and B being different, A and C being equal, B being different, and B and C being equal and A being different. So I'm going to say if A equals B and C not equal to A. So that makes C different since A and B are the same. Okay, and then what does it need to return in that case? It needs to return the one that's different. So that would mean return C. All right. Then I'm going to say else if A equals C and B is not equal to A, then that would mean B is the one that's different. And then lastly, what do we need? It's B and C being the same. So if B and C are the same, it would mean A is not equal to B. Now I only have to put A not equal to B. I don't have to say and A not equal to C, because B and C are the same and A is not equal to one of them. It's not going to be equal to the other one either, because those two things are the same. And then in that case, I'm going to return A. Okay, so that handles the special cases where two of them are equal and the other one isn't. So if we get this far in the if statement, we know that none of those three things were true, so that means they're all unique, and since they're all unique, one has to be the largest. Okay, so I'm going to check for two of them, and then if those two aren't true, well, by the process of elimination, it means the third situation is true. So I'm going to check to see if A is bigger than B and C. So I'm going to say if A is greater than B and A is greater than C, well, that means A is the biggest, so I'm going to return A. Okay, and then, oh, I forgot the if. The if goes right there. And then I'm going to say, okay, else if B is greater than A and B is greater than C, well, that must mean B is the biggest. So I'm going to return B. Well, if you have three unique values and you've gotten this far and neither A or B are the biggest, well, that must mean C is the biggest. So that's the only other possibility. So I say else, return C. Alrighty, so that would be that method. And then the last one is going to be a string method, and it says return a new string formed by joining the second character of the supplied string with the second to last character of the supplied string. Unless the string's length is less than 3, then return the string unchanged. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is check to see if str is its length is less than 3. So I'm going to say if str.length less than 3, then what do? I just return the string as it is supplied to me. So I say return str. All right, otherwise I must have a string whose length is greater than is 3 or more, so I can make that new string out of those two characters from the original one and join them together. So I'm going to say return, and it's going to be str.substring. Now how do I reference the second character? The second character in the string will have a substring value with indices of 1 and 2. 1 is the position of the second character, and 2 is the position of the third character, which is the first one you do not want in your substring, making a substring of a single character. And then the second to last character is a little bit trickier, but not tremendously, not unmanageable. So the second to last character in a string always has a position that's equal to however long the string is minus 2. Okay, the last character in a string has a position equal to the length of the string minus 1, and then the first position, the first empty space after the last character, has a position equal to str, the length of the string itself. So I want the second to last character. So that's going to be in position str.length minus 2. Okay, and then I don't want the last one, so character. So that means I put the position of the last character as the second index of my substring. So that should do it. Return str substring 1, 2 plus str substring str.length minus 2 and str.length minus 1. All right, so this handles any string that is supplied. So because you wrote the second to last character as an expression of the length of the string, it doesn't matter when the method is called what length of string is supplied. The method should always do what it was intended to do. Okay, I hope that helped, and I sure hope the audio recorded this time. So I guess we'll see. Have a good night, and remember, the final is only 1/9 of your grade. So this afternoon we checked, and if you had 100 going into the final and got a 50 on the final, you would still have a 95 as your final grade. So it's pretty hard to destroy your grade with a poor showing on the final. All right, have a good night, and cheers.